Welcome back. Now, less than a year after its formation, the Government of National Unity is now facing a reconfiguration without its second largest party. The political deadlock over the national budget and the 0.5 percentage point VAT increase, part of the fiscal framework passed by the National Assembly and National Council of Provinces on Wednesday, has highlighted the differing policy priorities within the coalition government, jeopardizing its stability. I'm joined now by Mzansi's Chief Whip, Makashule Gana. Makashule, thank you so much for joining us this evening. It's no secret that clearly there are tensions in the GNU. How unstable is it at the moment?
So thanks very much, Masa, and thanks for having us. So the GNU continues. There's a government in this country, and that government continues to govern the country and the people of South Africa. I think there's always this temptation to reduce the GNU to just the ANC and the DA. The GNU is made up of 10 political parties. We continue to have our meetings as the whips of GNU partners to be able to ensure that the work of Parliament, the work of the executive continues.
And I hear you there, Makashule, but take us into the privy of those meetings, of those GNU meetings as well, because as we're seeing, one of those parties is taking the state to Parliament to court right now. So clearly, while you are doing some work, the tensions are also causing some sort of a pause in other works. What are the effects of these rifts that are happening?
There's nothing that has been paused there, Masa. We must at all times tell the truth. There's nothing that has been paused. The work of Parliament, which concluded yesterday, was never paused. So Parliament continued, and the work of the executive continues. So nothing has been paused. The DA has decided to go to court. That's what they've decided. I will not speak for them, but insofar as the other 9 parties that are signatories to the GNU Statement of Intent, we continue to work and ensure that both Parliament and the government continue to serve the people of South Africa.
Yes, nothing's been necessarily paused, but we are seeing those delays, as we saw with the budget. But let's stick to the other GNU partners as well, which you're also saying we should focus on, as we should. The leader of your party, Songezo Zibi, was in the media, and he had said before this week as well that the finance minister has a balancing act between the interests of the poor, but also investment into the country. As Mzansi, do you think that that balancing act was achieved?
We believe so. That's why we supported the passing of the fiscal framework and revenue proposals. You know, sometimes when, as leaders, we have to take tough and difficult decisions. So the balancing act has been done, and obviously the finance committee had recommended that there's the 30 days that we have to look at alternative revenue sources to ensure that we plug the gap and not have the announced VAT increase continuing in the manner in which it was announced on the 12th of March. And that's the work that as Mzansi will fully participate and ensure that there is alternative on the table, and the work that we have started. We haven't concluded at this stage, but the work has started.
What do you say to criticism that this VAT increase is actually a slaughter for the poor? It's an insult against the poor, but also all ordinary South Africans. There must be a reason why there were so many MPs, 182 of which were saying that no to this.
We must say that it's undesirable for taxes to be increased. It's undesirable for VAT to be increased. But sometimes you have to balance in terms of what can raise funds urgently in a short space of time, and what's in the instrument of fiscal policy. It's taxes and borrowings, and we do not believe that we should increase the borrowings from the levels that we are borrowing. And we have said that this announced VAT increase has to be temporary, and part of the work that our leader Songezo Zibi will do at Scopa is to ensure that we find where wastage is happening, cut that wastage so that we don't have to have this 0.5% VAT increase become a permanent feature of South African life.
But will it be temporary?
We are very much confident. We are confident in the work that Songezo will do at Scopa. We're confident in terms of the engagements that we are having with other GNU parties and parties outside of the GNU to work very hard to try to find alternative sources of revenue for government. Because what we have said as Rise Mzansi is that there are things that are a priority. We want a passenger rail to run. We want additional policemen and women to be employed. We want teachers to be employed. We want doctors to be employed. So we need to find the money to pay for these services.
You know, while the leader of Rise Mzansi does have a prominent role, of course, in that committee, we have seen time and time again when we're speaking about wasteful expenditure that it hasn't been curbed as well. We also have seen that when it comes to spending on things that matter, for instance, what you've mentioned, rail, it doesn't work accordingly. So do you believe that this one person who happens to be, yes, in a prominent position will be able to turn things around?
It's not the only person. Scopa is a committee. It's not a one-man show. It's a committee made up of other political parties, but there's a commitment not only from Scopa. There's commitment from Treasury. There's commitment from the departments that this particular VAT increase has to be temporary. It can't become a permanent feature, and we need to fight to look everywhere to cut wastage so that we don't burden South Africans with additional tax.
What solace do South Africans have? You know, you are assuring South Africans that this VAT increase must be temporary. It can't be a permanent feature. What is temporary? What are the time frames that we're looking at? And what happens after that time frame should it still remain?
So what we have said is that the first thing, as per the recommendation of the Finance Committee, is that in the next 30 days, there will have to be proposals that are submitted that will then balance the books in terms of where other areas where we can find revenue. But if that does not happen, which we believe we're going to spend long nights searching for additional revenue, then by the time that there's an adjustment budget, we are confident that there will have been money that both from a SARS side, but also from the work of cutting wastage that will ensure that this does not become a permanent feature.
Yeah, and just finally on that GNU as well, you did mention quite clearly earlier that, of course, it's not just two parties in the GNU, but numbers do matter. And it does look like there is a big rift. Should the Democratic Alliance exit that GNU, as Rise Mzansi, are you a little bit concerned about who then fills that gap and what the GNU then looks like?
So the budget, the fiscal framework and revenue proposals were passed without the DA. That's the first stage of the budget. So it's not the entirety of the budget that has been passed, Masa. In a month's time, we will have to pass the division of revenue. And I'm confident that the parties in the GNU, the parties that might not be in the GNU, will support the passing of the division of revenue. Whether the DA it's in or it's not in, it's neither here nor there. I just have to say that there's always this assumption, even from the commentariat, that for South Africa to succeed at all times, the DA must be part of government. That's not true. We don't believe that to be true. So we'll continue to work. South Africa will continue to work. There's government in this country. There's parliament in this country. It will continue to work. So if the DA wants to be in opposition, wants to align itself with the MK and EFF, that is their business. For us in the GNU, we are committed to make the GNU work. And for people will be shocked what will come out. We're very confident that this VAT increase will be a temporary measure. So as we do our work, South Africans will see that the GNU will continue to serve the people of South Africa so that the lives of South Africans can be improved for the better.
Makashule Gana, thank you so much for your time this evening.